Hello, it's Julie from the Heart of Feather Heart Temple YouTube site. It's 3/27/2016. In this video, I want to say a little bit more about injustice. When you see an injustice or when you experience an injustice and it is not dealt with properly with action, if even if there is very little action done, or like they do in our criminal justice system, they give you the illusion of justice. When all these things don't happen as a result of injustice, something happens inside of us. But when we see injustice corrected, something comes back to us. Now, I learned this quite a few years ago. They're from a group of little girls who had what they called a club area in the back of my house. And they would go back there and play, and I would give them pots and things that I had gathered up from yard sales and wind chimes and things like that. But anyway, after a while, they came down. They were devastated. They were upset because somebody had destroyed their club area. Somebody vandalized it. And so they came down to my fence and asked me if I would keep a close eye on it and find out who had been vandalizing their club area. So I told them I would. Well, I guess a week went by, and I looked up, and I saw a little moped up by their club spot. And I thought, here we go. So I went up there, and there was a little girl up there with a helmet on, just kicking things, banging things, destroying things. And I guess that because the moped was running, and because she was in such a rage, she didn't notice that I was standing there watching her do what she was doing. So I finally stopped her by saying her name because I knew who she was. And the little girl was about 10 years old. And when she swung around to look at me, her face was beet red. And it wasn't because she was hot. She was very, very upset and angry. And I said to her, or I asked her, "Why are you doing this?" And she said, with a growl in her voice that I had never heard come from a small child before. She said a single word: revenge, and she growled it. Now, because she was a child, I said to her, I'm not going to say anything more to you because you need an adult to represent you. So I told her, "Get on your moped and go home. I will follow you because I'm going to talk to either your mother or your father, and this is going to be taken care of." Well, she did, and I followed her, and to make a long story short, I did have a talk with her dad with her present, and he asked her if that was the truth, that that is what in fact happened, and she fessed up to it, and I left it at that. I told him I don't want to hear what the punishment is. That's between you and her. So I left. Then a couple days later, I was out in my yard, and all those girls from the club spot were running down the hillside to my house, yelling, "Thank you, Julie, thank you, thank you, thank you." They were so happy. It was a complete change from when the injustice happened and afterwards. So they came down to the fence, and they all said at the same time, "Thank you for giving us justice." And I just, sometimes the children say some of the most beautiful things. The girl was angry at them because they didn't want her in their club because she was jealous. And they told me they couldn't have her in their club because that didn't make them feel good. The jealousy, which floored me that they all had that awareness. And they thanked me with tears in their eyes for giving them justice. And on that day, I realized and understood why we are all hurting from this constant injustice. Look out into the world. And that is why collectively our governments and whatever else is out there that's traumatizing us, corporations, that is the form they use. And it all stems from injustice, uncorrected. Anyway, I want to end this and do another video about some other things that I discovered in doing these videos. So have a beautiful day. Thank you for listening to my stories.